Hi, welcome to Voice of Feathers Tarot. If you clicked on this video, I want to say thank you. I do hope that you'll stick around as I trust there's going to be a message in here for you. I'm intending to do a series of readings that are going to be tapping into the upcoming Leo season energy. So this will be the time period from July 22nd through to August 23rd. Right now, I want to do almost like a pre-reading. So the intention here, just for myself, is that there's no pressure to actually upload this video. It's just for me to sort of start gathering information. However, if it appears to be a useful reading and I feel that it needs to go out, then I will post it. So I'm recording that with that intention in mind. So, as I said, I'm going to be tapping into the Leo energy, the Leo season energy. And I'm doing this now on the, what is the date? It's the 15th of July. So we're still in Cancer season. I've been trying to do Cancer season readings and Leo energy keeps coming through. So it's almost been sort of like butting in and really wanting to be heard, really roaring that lion energy. So for the Cancer season readings, I was using the Deviant Moon Tarot as the moon's the ruling planet of Cancer, so it felt like an appropriate deck to be playing with. For the Leo season, however, I was hearing from Spirit something to do with the Strength card in the Tarot of Mystical Moments. So that's this deck here. And so I've gone through and I've pulled out the Strength card just to have a look at it. So as you can see, you've got the lion and the girl there, as is typically represented in the Strength card. However, what's interesting to me in this one is the girl is almost like turning into a cat as well, sort of an anamorph situation. And what I was feeling from this, because the lion looks quite distressed, I was getting the message that there's something to do with empathy here. So the girl in the card is empathizing with the lion. She's able to put herself in the lion's shoes and feel its distress because she has some level of experience of what it's like to be a lion now. Okay, so it's not that she's fully there, but she's seen it enough to be able to have empathy for the situation. So this is a message about, I'm getting that this is somebody else. So this could be a Leo person in your life. It doesn't have to be. You could be a Leo yourself. Again, doesn't have to be. But I'm getting that there's someone in your life or sort of circling your zone of awareness who is now starting to go through some things, even in a smaller way, maybe not to the extent that you did, but they're starting to go through some things that you've gone through and are now starting to empathize with your situation. Okay, so that's what I'm getting is really important. And that's what the crucial message is from the Strength card from the Tarot of Mystical Moments. I'm going to leave that off to the side, and then I'm going to pull some cards for the actual reading now. Okay, so what I'm picking up on is energy from a person who's broken your heart, is really what I'm getting. And this could have been some time ago, you know. I'm getting from the cards that I'm seeing that you came into their life as quite a surprise. And I feel that they are now recognizing that they did not know how to handle you. They did not know how to handle that surprise, which was ultimately the divine gift of your presence in their life. Okay. So this could be any nature of relationship. It's going to resonate for you how it resonates. But this definitely could be there's a lot of love energy here, so it could be a romantic relationship or just a really strong bond that you had with somebody that for some reason didn't go quite right. Yeah. So what I'm getting at the center of your reading is the Hanged Man in reverse. So the Hanged Man is typically about the idea of having a different perspective. And I'm getting here, like, with this zipper being the wrong way round as well, it's almost like a resistance towards seeing things, seeing how things played up. I accidentally said that. So maybe they played up in this situation and they didn't want to admit that. But what I'm getting here is that they've really shielded themselves from the perspective that was necessary to have empathy for you. And that's what I'm getting with the Hanged Man in reverse here. And what's blocking them from seeing things from a different perspective, which might be your perspective in this situation? We've got the King of Cups. King of Cups is, you know, one of the most loving energies in the deck. And for this being a blockage, I'm getting this as being interpreted as a real lack of emotional intelligence. And yeah, I'm getting that it's sort of like a capacity issue rather than one that is sort of toxic. So a lot of the times when we talk about relationships, we can talk about what was toxic about them or whatever. Here I'm not yet getting that. I'm more getting that this was a person who had capacity problems. They might have acted in a toxic way, sure, but what I'm getting here is that their inability to see your perspective, like perspective taking skills, and emotional intelligence was just severely lacking in this person. They don't have the skills, they don't have the capacity. They weren't able to meet you on that level, okay? And I think they're now starting to see some of the consequences of their actions, and they're starting to connect the dots and see that the common denominator is them. And I'm getting that this is an extremely painful realization for this person. And that's what they're so resistant to with that Hanged Man in reverse. The reason that I'm getting that it's extremely painful, this realization, is because in the hidden influences, I've got the Nine of Wands. So you can see how damaged she is from the rose thorns here. She's got multiple cuts all over her. And it's the wounded warrior energy, right, with the Nine of Wands. So I'm getting here that this person, and this could be you even, you know, like this could be, you might be resonating with the person who has just had an inability to perspective take, or has sort of struggled with maybe social situations or relationships in your whole life. And you haven't really understood why relationships haven't worked out the way that they have. And it's now a really painful realization for you or for this other person, take it how it resonates, to realize that they are the common denominator. There's so much resistance, in fact, that this is still an unconscious energy. So I'm getting that, like, the empathy they're feeling for you, it has to be realized through their own experiences. So sometimes it can go both. Sorry, I'm just getting a flood of messages. So what I was going to say is that for half of you, it'll be the case that this person struggles to see the perspective of others unless something similar happens to them, and then they can connect the dots. Or it might be the other way around. Someone struggles to see how they fit into an equation until something happens to someone they love, and then they connect the dots regarding themselves. So I know that was a little bit of a mess, but there's a lot of that energy here in this reading about sort of untangling maybe like what went wrong. There's still like a lot of love that I'm feeling here. I don't think there was an intention to harm. That being said, though, it reminds me I wrote some notes in my phone earlier that I was going to sort of unpack in a reading. So I feel like they might be relevant now. I'm just going to get them up. So what I wrote was, they tried to help you and they genuinely believed that they were helping you or trying to. But they did so from a place that was aligned with self-abandonment. Their version of help still equaled your needs not being met, and this is what they simply cannot see about the situation. So there's sort of like a stubbornness here, and that is aligning with what I'm getting in this reading as well. It's really, really hard for this person to come to a realization about how they might be the problem. Because to them, they didn't act in any problematic sort of way. It's just that it was incompatible with what you needed. So they're now facing a similar situation where they're not being heard and their needs aren't being met. And on paper, it looks like they're being helped. It looks like they're being assisted. It looks like they're being cared for. But for some reason, it is not translating to them feeling satisfied and whole and complete in their life. So it's sort of a very subtle energy at the moment, but I feel like over the course of the Leo season, what's going to happen is this is going to start to become more and more clear to this person, or to you if you're resonating with that perspective. For the conscious influences, I've got the Star card, and this is where I was getting the idea of connecting the dots, like the constellations with the stars. I was getting that they're sort of like trying to piece together and make sense of what went down. And they're feeling a lot of pain around it, a lot of regret around it as well. What I'm getting, though, is that this shift in perspective and this leveling up in terms of empathy really needed to happen for this person. And they're actually starting to go on a little bit of a spiritual journey. I'm saying that because I've got the Hierophant here. Typically, the Hierophant can refer to like traditional institutions. So what I'm getting is that like this person may have been quite conservative or quite traditional in their views, or they may have really stuck to one path. And for a long time, certain things have been challenging those views, and they've been very, very resistant to them with the Hanged Man in reverse. But this is going to start to shift. Okay, so they're starting to see synchronicities I'm getting, and owls and messages in books as well is what's coming through. So I've got the owl, and then there's a little book there. I'm getting Athena coming through as well, a Greek goddess Athena. So that might be a synchronicity as well that's coming through. So yeah, I'm really seeing for this person, it's like they're starting to question traditional institutions, and they're really contemplating their spiritual life with the Star here as well. where they fit in the grand scheme of things, in the cosmos, you know. Um, and you've been heavy on their mind in this, you know, maybe they look up to you in that capacity, but yeah, I'm getting that they do. I'm getting that they want to ask you questions of a spiritual nature, but they feel like they don't have an opportunity to. It's either you're completely out of contact, or it would be awkward, or something like that. But they're going through something. They're going through a shift in, I don't know what you would call it, but yeah, it's something going from something very traditional to something kind of more off the beaten track, I'm hearing. So yeah, just like a bit of a 180 for them. They're currently thinking in ways that they didn't ever think that they would think. They're feeling things they didn't think that they would feel. So for the advice, I've got the Knight of Cups. So it's interesting because in the past influences, we've got the Page of Cups. So I'm feeling like a bit of a progression here, like maybe a maturation. This might have been like a long time ago. That event sort of happened. Or another thing that I'm getting here is that maybe you've sort of grown up with this person, or you've seen them grow up lately. And if you haven't, then that's something that will be coming up. You'll really see a shift. I'm also getting, it works the other way around too, is that they're surprised by you, is what I'm getting. I'm getting that they're really surprised with how much you've matured actually. And yeah, it's like tugging on their heartstrings at the moment. I feel like they're sort of like beaming with pride. Um, I'm also getting an energy from someone who's passed away as well. So like a relative, like maybe a passed away loved one, who's coming in this situation. I feel like they're assisting this person or you in going through and seeing this perspective change, and assisting you or them through a spiritual journey is really what I'm getting. So the advice is to really connect with that person if you can. So I don't know how you would want to do this, but it might just be like looking through photo albums and reminiscing about the person who's passed on. Um, Anything like that. Or maybe they did a certain thing and it was very characteristic of them when they were alive, and you start doing that thing to sort of like embody their energy. Because I'm hearing that like integrating and embodying the energy of the person who has passed over is what is going to help you or this other person who you're involved with mature throughout this current spiritual lesson that is happening. I hope that's making sense, because it just started to take a different turn. But yeah, like just to give you an example, like one thing that I do now that I never used to do until my grandmother passed away, like she always used to use the cubed sugar in her coffee. I don't even have coffee. Sorry, I don't even have sugar in my coffee. But now whenever I have a black coffee, I have to put the cubed sugar in, because that's just my way of keeping Nana alive. I also love to keep pieces of her furniture and her belongings around, and I've upcycled some of them to make them more my own, but they carry her energy. And I feel like in doing that, I mature. In doing that, I integrate spiritual lessons, generational healing, and that's coming through as advice for you as well. Okay, so for the card representing external influences or the perceptions of others, what I'm really getting here with the Temperance card is just how different you are appearing to other people at the moment. You appear very healed, very balanced, very beautiful. It's like you kind of like Snow White with all of the animals coming to you, and you're exuding perfect balance right now, and it's really beautiful to see. I think that this is definitely like a divinely guided and protected person that I'm picking up on. And yeah, like you're exuding confidence and maturity and growth and beauty and a lot of healing, and people are picking up on it, and it's going to lead to really, really good things. What I get for you for the hopes and fears is the Fool energy. And I absolutely love this card because I love crocodiles. So it's a different representation of the Fool card than I've seen before. So you can see the lady there, she's got a little bird with her and she's going on a little stroll. And I don't think she has any idea that she's actually walking on the tail of the crocodile there. So it talks about like feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So you might have some inherent fears about the steps that you've decided to take moving forward. And I'm getting that you might be feeling like a little bit odd, like you're struggling to integrate where you feel called in your life with the expectations of others around you. So you weren't expecting for there to be a crocodile underneath your feet, right? But I don't know, I'm getting like a friendly vibe from this croc. So I don't actually feel like there's any real danger or any real like need to be afraid around this. He just seems kind of sweet. Maybe that's my bias because I just think crocodiles are adorable, especially when they're babies. But yeah, it's like you really want to take a leap of faith and start doing something completely new, like a completely different path, I'm hearing. And you might be a little bit worried about what others will perceive of this decision or of this leap of faith, because it might be perceived as a little bit risky, is what I'm getting. This reminds me of when I went on a solo trip to far north Queensland, and I was sleeping in the boot of my car, and it was so hot because it was summer in the tropics, and I was sleeping by a bank that had crocodiles in it, and I wasn't scared. Like, I knew I was divinely protected. Like, I knew that those creatures weren't going to hurt me. Had I stayed any longer than I did, sleeping in the back of my car with the boot open, knowing that, maybe 100 meters away there were crocodiles, maybe they would have killed me. I don't know. But regardless, it's giving me that kind of energy of like, I knew that I was divinely protected. Did I scare the shit out of my friends and family? Sure. But it's a story I get to tell now, and it's part of me, and it's something around that. Like, you're going to know that you're divinely protected going forward, okay? And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about what you're going to be doing. It's not, sure, there's always risks in life, but I'm getting that the perceived risks are unfounded in this situation. This is really sweet because, and the reading's really shifted. So it started off being sort of about another person and how they're going through something that is allowing them to empathize with you and your struggles, and some of the lessons that you've integrated, they're now integrating. And then it sort of turned into like a reading about you being in this state of healing and being divinely protected and having like ancestors watching over you. And then the outcome card is the Ace of Cups. So with that, it's just like, I feel like this is a real self-love journey. It really is. So I'm getting, with the 10 of Cups on the bottom of the deck, so this represents the potential energy. you're taking that first cup into your own hands towards your emotional fulfillment. It's almost like whoever this person was in the beginning of the reading, coming through as needing to find that perspective of empathy for you, it's almost like you used to get something from them, or you used to expect to get something from them in terms of emotional fulfillment. And this is almost like in outgrowing the need for an external person or external source of fulfillment. That's where you ultimately find it, the source of your own power. And what this is doing is it's demonstrating life lessons and the path towards healing for this person who you have a past with, basically, is what I'm getting. So yeah, this is coming through for Leo season. It's a really beautiful energy for you. It's a really healed energy. And I'm not sure why Spirit is so desperate for you to understand that there's somebody who may have caused you harm, who is now going through a particular part of the journey that you've already healed from, but it's coming out. So maybe it's just confirmation for you that you've done the right thing in choosing your own path. Or maybe there's another reason why you need a heads up for this. It's going to be different for everybody. But that's what I've got for the initial check-in energy for August. I may or may not post this one, but I'm going to try and tap into some more specific things in the future Leo season reading. So thanks for sticking around if you did. I'll see you in the next one.